Hello, hello, welcome back. Um, this morning started with a bit of a oomph for me because I realized, oh, we are in February. So I realized I'm not posting this on the day that I'm recording this, but it is February 2nd. I'm like, oof, we're already a month into 2026, and that feels like crazy because there's only 12 of them. And I don't know, I feel like a lot of people this year, I mean, it's a common sentiment to have at the beginning of each year, but we kind of start off these years being like, this is my year, I'm gonna do so much this year, and just yeah, and like, I think it's a feeling that a lot of people have, but this year for me, it actually is one of these years where I am actively trying to change my life in lots of different ways. And I feel like most of January was spent trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to do that, like my new routine and just like what the heck, like how to organize things so that I don't waste too much time and I actually get stuff done. And of course, it's life. So there's always little hiccups here and there, and things don't ever go quite as planned. But there's several things that I want to kind of do slash get a start on. I realize that a lot of these things are things that take many years, but I think that at the end of 2026, if I had a good head start on a few of these things, I would be very happy. So, one of them, of course, is that I'm trying to start my own business for multiple reasons. But like the main one being that I want to be my own boss, and I feel like I have never seen a job posting or advertising for something that feels like it would suit my needs, or just kind of what I want to do, which is, yeah, help people or be in contact with people, help them navigate certain changes in their lives, figure out who they are, because as I've mentioned in previous videos, that is such an important thing for me. Just it's the thing that has made the most impact on my life. And it's an ongoing project, of course, but it is something that, yeah, I view as just like a top priority in my life. And for anyone who is wanting to take on that priority sort of more seriously, I would just love to be there with them and just kind of accompany them on this journey as a life coach or whatever other name I can come up with. Although I know life coach is just a well understood one. So I might just go with that. I don't know. Another one is my health. Yeah, my health is unfortunately something that I have been not so good at um, keeping track of, or like just I slip slide a lot when it comes to my health. And I think I think I'm trying to find a way to not do that. Like, and by that I mean maybe just not taking things as seriously or not being as like hard on myself. Like every day has to be perfect. Um, just yeah, just accepting that some days are going to be better than others. Like today has been pretty good so far, but I know that I also have days where definitely could be improved upon. Yeah, so those are two big themes for me this year. And then I would say the last one is kind of just like letting myself be seen more. So, again, this is something I've talked about in previous videos, but I have been very, very closed off from the world for many years, have not let people get to know me or see me, and I just found it easier to just stay at home in my comfort and have some friends online who, I am more in control in those situations, and yeah, just a bunch of stuff that have led me to be quite closed off. And as much as I've sort of enjoyed that as a very, very introverted person, I think that it's also quite limiting in a lot of ways, and I would like to put myself out there a little bit more. And this series of videos, this series of blogs, or whatever you want to call them, they are sort of a start to that. So that's what I'm kind of what I'm saying is that I'm seeing this year as kind of like the start of my new life, of the next chapter of my life. And yeah, going back to kind of the fitness or health goal that I mentioned, maybe not taking everything so seriously and letting myself have good and bad days. And which brings me to kind of the topic that I want to circle around today. And that topic is perfectionism or perfection, because as you know, I'm sure many of you can relate to, perfectionism has been kind of like this plague on my life. I've been somebody who's extremely perfectionist, a very perfectionist kind of person who just, you know, I have often equated my value to the work that I output or like the stuff that I do, and yeah, I think it's like it's a little bit, how do I say this? It's a little bit like it's not helpful. Basically, it's not helpful to be a perfectionist because, especially for somebody like me, like I'm a little quirky person. I can have trouble focusing sometimes. I am a little bit of a scatterbrain. Yeah, I just, you know, I have a lot of like nervous energy and stuff like that, and I need to get up mid work session to do a lap around the house or something, go pet my cat, or just like go throw her a toy or something. And so I don't know, it's just like I've been asking myself to achieve this level of perfection that has not been sustainable. And so I've kind of decided that this year, sort of my guiding principle is done is better than perfect, or good, like good enough is better than perfect. Kind of like accepting that sometimes you just need to do something, output something without having to look at every little detail of it and making sure it's absolutely perfect. And I feel like that's something I was talking about with a friend of mine a few days ago, who's also been somebody, a recovering perfectionist. And yeah, I think that, you know, one of the big things that has brought this to my attention, I mean, it's been on my mind for years, of course, but it's just been a habit that I've had a hard time to break. And I feel like in the last year or so, I have been looking more into AI as it just becomes, as it just like saturates the world, right? And everybody's got access to, well, I don't know about that, like specific, but you know, like we have these tools now that can help us create all these things that used to take hours and hours or years of expertise to create. You know, I don't know how good they are, but I've seen that you can create like a website by like typing up a few things into these apps or whatever, these AI, um, and then they'll just create a whole website for you or a whole app. Or I hear all these kinds of things. I haven't looked into it myself. I've been mostly using it to write, or yeah, just not write like blog articles or anything, but just like replies to emails. Or I had to write a business plan, which was very, very boring and just kind of like, it was very useful for info dumping, kind of like my vision, what I wanted at ChatGPT, and then having it write for me in sort of like appropriate language or whatever for a business plan, following the very specific instructions that I had for this course that I did. And it was super useful. But the reason I bring up AI is because I think we're quickly realizing, you know, we're still pretty early in the game here, but we're quickly realizing that AI is actually doing perfection better than we can. So, you know, I've been alive for over 30 years, well over 30 years now. But you know, I've been around for a while, and you know, that used to be a pretty late age in olden days or whatever. I mean, nowadays I might live twice that long, but like it's still like I'm kind of like maybe not at a halfway point, but I'm like I'm far enough into life that, and I've battled enough with perfection in a sense that I've realized how hard it is, and like the cost of perfection too. Just how stressful it is. Like it's so stressful trying to be perfect all the time and just produce perfect work. Like the amount of like going to bed and thinking about it and overthinking and dreaming. Like I dream a lot, so when I have a big thing, it's something that I'm really trying to get right, I can just have like dreams about it, and it can be really silly things too. Like I play video games, right? And like last night, or this weekend, I kind of allowed myself to chill out a little bit, and I was playing good old Animal Crossing. If you don't know what that is, it's a great little game with little animals, and you get to just kind of like build your own little island and everything. Anyway, and there's this whole customization aspect to it, and I was in this game taking part in this customization, and then I had dreams about it because I just like there's like the my when I was playing the game, I was relaxed, but my perfectionism was still sort of kicking in, kind of like, no, it has to be right, and let's move it that way, and let's make things align properly, and oh, I don't really like that color, let's switch up that color. And it was very, very yeah, partly creative, but also partly like, this has to be perfect. And so, strangely, I feel like this caused me some weird stress. And I was like thinking about it last night. And, in my defense, I think it wasn't entirely about the game. I think my dreams were just using the game as a portal to share certain information about my life because I've got other things going on, more serious things than Animal Crossing. But yeah, just actual projects that I have to deliver to clients and stuff. And I think that was probably what the dream was about, because I have noticed that I have spent a ridiculous amount of time trying to make everything perfect, dot every I, make sure every font matches every color, like, just really going hard at this. And in my defense, again, this is only my well, technically it's my first project ever, my first paid project as a new business owner. Woo! Um, but all that to say is that it's really been stressing me out, and just kind of, yeah, my perfectionism has been coming out again. And I think it's very understandable when you think about it. First project, trying to start a business, first client, want to make a good impression, and also just I've never done this before. Like this, in this case, this is the type of work that I've never done before. I've never done this specific. It's like a series of posts that they wanted me to create for their LinkedIn. And yeah, I've never, like, I don't, I've never done that, not even for myself. So yeah, there's a certain level of stress there that I feel like I combat the stress by bringing in perfectionism. Like, if it's perfect, then I don't have to stress about it. But it has a totally like counter effect in a sense where I end up more stressed about it because now not only does it have to be done, but it has to be perfect. And gosh darn, like that is a very, like that's a very heavy weight to carry around. And thankfully it's a short project, but I know there will be more. And so I'm really, this is something that while I have time, I'm trying to zero in on a little bit. Yeah, like right now I only have two clients, so my a lot of my time is still very much like in the clouds, and I can think and I can just kind of reflect on what's going on. And I'm glad in a sense that I have this time right now to do that rather than, having 30 clients, 12 clients. I don't know. I don't know how many clients people get. I don't know how many clients people can handle at a time. It's all stuff I'm gonna have to learn. But yeah, I think that right away I'm just like, oh, perfectionism is back. Great, And I feel like last time I encountered perfectionism, it made me quit. So back in May, I actually had started a podcast under the same name as this channel, except with podcast in it. And I was talking about my dreams, and just I ended up only releasing 4 episodes. And I've thought about going back to it, but I very much got trapped in perfectionism because, yeah, first of all, I was like, I can't just do this. I can't just ramble. I'm going to be all over the place. People are not going to understand. I'm not going to have a clear point, which, sometimes I don't in these. And this is something that I'm practicing in a sense, but like, I go in with an idea and I just ramble on. And in this case, I was kind of like, oh, well, dreams are so weird. And, I really have to have like the story laid out and for it to make sense. And then I decided, okay, well, I have to write a script. And then I'd spend like a whole week writing a script for this podcast. And then I would record it exactly as is. And then I would go in and I would edit out every little breath, every little sound, every little like tick, like anything that just. And then I ran it through this kind of AI voice normalizer in a sense that would kind of take out weird noises or just kind of make the volume equal or something. Anyway, so just releasing a podcast that was typically between 20 minutes and 30 minutes, I think, would take me over a week and it would stress me out so much. And at the end, I would release it. And here's the biggest problem that I had with this is that by the end, it was so freaking polished. So freaking like perfect, quote unquote. And you can go listen to them. They're actually not perfect. They're really not. But I feel like trying to reach perfectionism ended up being me editing a lot of me out. So instead of just like letting myself be uncomfortable like I am doing right now and just recording these and not really having a plan and saying a lot of filler words and sometimes when I edit or I watch through after to edit the end and start of the video, I notice how loud I'm breathing and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, it's so loud and so annoying. And I'm sure most people wouldn't notice unless they had their like audio people with big fancy headphones or something like that. I don't know. It's just like, it's such minor stuff that I was spending hours and hours editing out. And I feel like I said, I ended up editing out a lot of me. And I think that's kind of what happens when we reach for perfection is that perfection, like, it can't be us. Like, it can't because nobody's perfect, Nobody's perfect. Like, nobody is perfect. We are all flawed. We all have, our tics, our little neuroses, our little things that bother us. Nobody's perfect. We have scars. We have like, I don't know, just like weird little habits, weird little quirks, real weird little obsessions. Nobody's perfect. And yet, I feel like so much of, when like the people we admire, the celebrities on TV. I'm not saying they're perfect, but they really put out this illusion of being perfect. And this, it's like the stereotype of the Instagram model or influencer or whatever of just like their house is perfect. They're like marble counters are like pristine and there's not a single crack or drop of nail polish on it and just everything just looks freaking flawless. And not only does that, as the person on the other side can make you feel really, really crappy because like who doesn't have like a messy kitchen? Like it's almost impossible not to have a messy kitchen unless you're like super OCD or something or just like you take great pride in it and it's just like something that really is important to you. But I don't think that's the case for the majority of us, right? I think the kitchen is where you make food, you cook, it's messy. There's stuff in the air. Like I have two cats, so there's cat hair a lot in my food. Like, not to be gross or anything, but it just gets in there. Like it just floats around in the air. And anyway, that's not the point of this. But what I'm trying to say is that I think, we've spent so much time as a collective, as humanity, trying to reach perfection, be perfect, show up perfectly, like our hair just perfectly. And I know I talked about this kind of on the last video, I think, or the one before, I don't know. But we've spent so much time trying to be perfect, trying to be the straight A student, trying to be to have the perfect body, trying to have like the perfect words, trying to write the perfect book, give the perfect presentation, come up with the perfect plan of action, But like again, life just never. Yeah, there's something, and I think, in a sense, if we actually let go of our own human drive to try to be perfect, as I think, in a sense, a way of hiding all of our imperfection, right? Kind of like if we appear to know what we're talking about and appear to seem like we have everything under control and we are just like, yeah, everything is just as we planned it. We gain a certain amount of power from that. And we also um, don't, are not as vulnerable in those situations, right? If everything's under control and everything's under our control and we are putting out a very calculated sort of look or presence or whatever it is, like expertise, right? How many people call themselves experts? And I'm like, I guess some people might actually be experts, but I feel like a lot of people throw that word around like, anyway, but to get back to the point of perfection is if we look at like what made us, right? Like kind of just like nature and Mother Nature, and just we look around and no tree, like, if you were to picture in your head a perfect tree or something, it would look very different, I think, than if you stepped outside and started looking at individual trees. Like every tree is weird. Every tree has like lost some branches, has been through some shit, like through the seasons, and some of them more than others. Here the winter gets pretty cold, so they've suffered through these harsh times. They've had birds living in them. Just and I'm just talking about trees here, but that applies to everything out in nature. Like nothing is like the same from thing to thing. No animal is the same. Like I've had 3 cats now, and each of them has had their own little personality, their own like different coloring in their fur, their own little habits, own little like specific toys they like, specific foods they like it's just the way that things are. Like I don't know, I feel like we often forget that we are just part of that. We are not separate from that. And AI is separate from that. It is not organic matter, right? It is kind of like all our neuroses, all of our perfection, all of our like, and I'm not saying AI is perfect, not at all, but I'm just saying that, that's what it outputs to us. And that can be really, really useful, because then you don't have to force yourself to do those things, right? Like, I didn't have to force myself to learn how to write a business plan. I was able to just kind of like, like, just write up or even talk about all of my ideas and everything I wanted to do on each specific topic, each specific part of the business plan, and be like, okay, now write what I just said into a paragraph that looks like this based on the example that I was given. So, it's a very useful tool, but it's also showing us how, I think, it's showing us how boring perfection is, and I think all of those polished little videos that we've been seeing for years and have been doing really, really well, with the perfect lighting and the perfect editing and the perfect cuts and the perfect everything, that may take an individual or a team of people hours and hours and hours to produce. Now AI can do in a few seconds, right? Like it can create videos. I was watching a guy talking about how somebody had taken his exact script, basically. So he had recorded a video. They had taken that exact script, given it to an AI. The AI had created this very realistic looking woman who seemed to be talking on a podcast, and she said what, like she read the script, this AI model chick read the script exactly as the guy had said it. So like zero edits, literally just took. So it's like, yeah, somebody tried to bring something real into something fake, and this video did have way more views and engagement and stuff. And it's just, yeah, it's just kind of crazy. But I think because of that, my intuition is that, I don't know, things are just going to change. People are going to go back to wanting to see things that are a little bit more authentic and real and less polished and feel more like themselves. Because if the Instagram influencers weren't bad enough, and the celebrities that, you know, at least occasionally fucked up, you know, occasionally messed up and showed something real, or just had a mental breakdown or something, like we could still see that they were human. But now there's literally like fake humans everywhere, who can talk better than us, like, that, yeah, again, like sound like they've been doing this professionally for 20 years, that, yeah, some machine or code or whatever created in a matter of minutes. And that's insane. But it's also, yeah, it's also like something to reflect on and kind of be like, well, what does that mean for me? Because if we're so early on into this AI thing, and AI already can do perfection a million times better than I can, even at like my best, even if I tried like super hard and spent like 3 weeks making a video and editing out everything so perfectly and scripting everything so perfectly, I'm not sure I could even compete. Yeah. So, food for thought, I guess, but I think it's just kind of really, as I said, entering my life again, this idea of perfectionism and perfection, because I am realizing how few hours there are in a day and how many things I want to do. And if I sacrifice all of my time to perfection instead of just getting it done, right? Good is good enough, then I'm going to miss out on so much. So, you know, I think I'm going to leave perfection to AI, and I think I'm going to go back to, or I'm at least going to try and attempt to just be myself, and yeah, hopefully reach some people that way, or make people question their own perfectionism, or whatever you're dealing with, I guess. But whatever you're dealing with in facing AI, or the future, or your own goals, or your own setbacks, or the things that are holding you back. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's just my thoughts of the day. So I thought I would share. And again, as always, if you have any comments or anything you want to talk about, or yeah, feel free to comment. It's an open invitation. So anyway, until next time, see you guys later. Bye.